Hello and welcome to the Final Bell. It is great to have you with us for another week. I can't believe I'm still saying this, a 7-0 week. Cats on top of the ladder. So we've got lots of fun stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about that wonderful game against the Blues at the MCG. We'll look forward to the Cats taking on the Demons on Saturday night again at the MCG. We'll check out the VFL, the VFLW. We'll get to your questions. We'll do all of that fun stuff. But first, Meg's here. Hey, Meg.
Oh, hey, Lee. How are you?
Good. You seem to be bursting with happiness just like I am right now.
Oh, how I know. I mean, what a time to be a Cats fan. I mean, they're all pretty good, but this was especially good. And we were just saying off air, what a fantastic day it was to get up to the G and just dominate.
I like
for a large portion of the game.
I like the 4:35 p.m. game.
Yes.
I took my two oldest boys, aged 11 and 9. That is a magnificent time slot. And I was reading last night with the fixture, the remainder of the year fixture about to be released at the AFL. I've sensed that time slot is not a bad one for some bigger blockbuster games.
I mean, they were crediting Carlton and Carlton supporters with that. I was like, guys, Cats home game.
Cats home game.
Biggest ever.
Yes, biggest home crowd ever. What was the official number? There it is, 87,775.
Good. I went up, as I was telling everyone every week, I had a big group that I was going with.
Yeah.
I'd been to a wedding on Thursday, recovery Friday, game on Saturday. So I get there early, Swan Street. The wedding party were meeting at the London Tavern. Do you know London?
Nice.
Yeah.
Starting early, Meg.
Starting early. I was loving the people, and like 87,000 people streaming down Swan Street going to the MCG. Shout out to the fan of the pod that said hi at the London.
We
love that.
Love that.
It gave me some serious credit amongst the party of people from Queensland, and they were just, shout out to them, they were just the best time. I didn't know this. I probably should have. The groom's a Carlton fan.
Oh.
So we'd got these 40 odd tickets and we were going together. I left early because I was like, you guys are going to stay. I need to be there for the ceremony. I was in my seat by 4. And then they all came in. By the end of it, I kid you not, I had these Brisbane people leading the Geelong chant. They got decked out. I was convinced they were super fans. One of them had this most amazing, we love Cotton On, but they had a retro Canterbury Cats rugby jumper. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Wow, from a long time
back
back in the day.
A long time back. Straight on eBay I was. Not there. So I almost put an offer in. But they were an awesome group of people to go with, and we've got 40 new Cats fans.
Excellent. We love the sound of that. We love the game. It's always strange in the crowd when you turn up. There haven't been lots of big Geelong and Carlton games where both sitting right near the top of the ladder for a while. And seeing the blue and white, the dark blue and white everywhere. You're not sure which section of the crowd is actually Cats or are they Blues. You got to look a bit closer at the scarves. The crowd was heaving. It was a great game of footy. We're going to talk all about the game in a second. I did, when I was leaving with my kids, one thing I did turn to them and say, we'll be seeing them in September. They are two genuine top 4 teams. Carlton are a very, very good football team, and so are the Cats because they just knocked them off. But I was very impressed with the Blues. Their midfield was excellent. Their forward line was threatening. We obviously were able to score on them pretty well, but enough signs that I know we play them again in about 7 or 8 weeks' time.
Well, as they were at pains to tell us in the crowd at the end of the game, see you in round 15. I was like, I just saw you.
Yeah, and I reckon we'll be seeing them again in September, hopefully deep in September with the same result. It was, in the end, a 13-point victory to the Cats. Both teams scoring over 100 points, as everyone knows. The mix of the styles of play, an excellent Carlton midfield, as I said, lots of entries. Geelong, a little bit less entries, but highly efficient when they did go forward and able to score 118 points from pretty limited entries. It was. How did you see that mix? Were you worried at times with how much dominance in moments that Carlton had in the midfield?
Yes, you're thinking any danger we could get it out of the middle, but then we were so effective on the rebound, as it's been noted since, and I will say it's been noted by everyone because I might have said last week on the pod, no one's talking about the Cats. Now everyone's talking about the Cats. Everyone's, how do we beat the Cats? I won't tell you. I know. No, but yes, it was particularly when there were periods of the game where the response was quite quick. So you kick a goal and then their goal comes quite quickly. But our efficiency, I think, just felt like such professionalism at the ground live, and you're not hearing the commentary, you're just enjoying it, and you're sort of trying some one-upmanship against the Carlton supporter next to you going, see, that's how it's done. just straight through the big sticks. But then watching it back on the replay and listening to our extraordinary percentage, it was reassuring, to say the least.
The obvious, when you talk best ons and wonderful game, Jeremy Cameron was superb. Graham Myers was excellent again. Zach Toohey wound the clock back against his old mob and was brilliant. I want to start with a little bit of love for those who still remain unheralded. We're out in the big wide world. I thought the job of Jack Henry, Jake Kolodjasny and Zach Guthrie was just outstanding.
I thought it was interesting. I think Jonathan Brown during the week said Jack Henry is the most underrated player in the entire competition, not just our team. So flowers for Jack. He was unreal. But Jake Kolodjasny's ability to get a hand in, he's getting not necessarily outbodied, but Curno's doing his best to sort of nudge him under. He's obviously elite forward craft, and at the last minute, Jake sticks a mid out on it.
Multiple times. There
was that one ultimately went over the back for the goal, but there was times he's just getting a hand in, other times he's read it better and he's leading him to the footy. And I think it was also notable that I can't remember who that really great spoil that he did was on. But Curnow was off the ground. He picked someone else. His closing
lace
speed.
Lace
out. Bang comes a fist.
Our amazing producer, Jakey, who always gets a mention on this show, said that Charlie Curnow was targeted how many times? 18 times and ends with 3 goals, and is one of the most incredible physical specimens you'll see for size, athleticism, shoulders, everything, apart from Jakey, of course.
Yeah.
But to be targeted that many times and I mean this with all respect to Charlie, because I love him as a player, to only end with 3 goals shows how good a performance it was from Jake and from those other defenders who were able to help out.
Yeah, I think our contested marking was something like we had 7 in the first quarter and a half, which I gather is pretty outstanding. But we're always able to create, that 2v1 in the back line. And then you've got both Guthries marking. I mean, let's talk about
Cam's first effort.
Cam's first effort.
Just a one-handed little grab.
Just a one-hander.
Welcome back.
Never mind the quad. Mahomes are getting me up pretty high. All good. Which ended in a goal. I mean, his delivery and to see the team get around him when Jez was having the set shot was awesome. But he was predominantly off half-back. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, what did you think?
And it worked really well, and I loved it. And I love the fact we have so many going through the midfield, different options going through there. But then that different attack off half-back, and even Mitch Duncan forced to do something a little different once Paddy goes off the ground. Max Holmes has obviously been really dynamic off half-back, but little bits and spurts in the middle. That's all working really well, and Cam, I think, will only add to that. Yep. Settle him off half-back for a little bit perhaps and get the body rolling a bit, but we know that he can go through the middle of the ground.
Well,
absolutely.
he might in the next 4 to 6 weeks. He might have to go in there a little bit.
Correct.
Do you know whose possessions I was loving? Not necessarily starting at half-back, but I think Tanner Bruin's ability to open up the ground, gets the ball in traffic, and his vision to know I've got someone on that fat side wing and lace them out. I think he started a couple where we got a really low number entry inside 50, and Stengel or whoever it was able to I reckon it was Dempsey. He'd kicked it out to Dempsey. You're getting that overlap. Yeah, I think our overlap and our precision is helped by how fewer numbers we have when we enter forward 50 because of the speed.
I have to ask, were you concerned in the last quarter when it got to 8 points and Blake Acres had popped another one through? How high were your anxiety levels at that stage?
Well, I was playing the game the whole time because the people that I was with had no real skin in the game. They were very much, we've got it. We this, we that. They're terrible, whatever. And I'm going, shh. Then we get 32 points up, and that was when I did the maths and I said, all good. I think
That's when the Carlton fans around us left?
Yes. I think there was, I remember saying to them at one point, just one more would be nice. Jack Bowes kicks the one more, and I'm going, now we've won.
But it did get to 8 points.
But it didn't. But we didn't lose. Do you know what I mean? It's always you get a bit worried. It was the what was there, like 20 seconds between two of those goals?
Yeah, I was starting to feel just slightly ill. I was like, I don't want to say that I was here on this historic day for Carlton where they pull off this amazing comeback.
It's also just I don't want this to get quoted. It's very Carlton. Obviously, that they have that in them. These sort of
the close finishes.
Finishes. And for now, I like that we are the team that is more perhaps clinical with our excellence at the moment. Execution. That's a better word.
Well, can it lead into perhaps, and we have each week on the social media, jump on the Cats social media sites, on the website, the Bendigo Banks Meet the Moment nominees. I mean, Jack Bowes has probably got to be thrown in there for his talk about execution under pressure.
He can snap, can't he? All these goals that he's snapped.
Elite kicking under enormous pressure.
Around the body from 40. What?
Very, very nice.
I love Tutto's call of that too, by the way.
Oh, I haven't listened to it.
Oh, you just go, what does he say, Jakey? He found it. Was it? He was found. Looks for the goal, found him. He went low, and it was just
almost understated.
It was That's the word I'm looking for. It was understated.
Well, can I throw up another nominee for the Bendigo Banks Meet the Moment? Tom Atkins.
Oh.
Is it the one-off effort, the 1v2 in the third quarter and all that sort of stuff, or is it just simply when he had to come on as the sub, Paddy's gone off, and he nailed 7 tackles in 29% game time? And also got the clearance I reckon, after the couple of Carlton goals in a row. And and the heart was starting to beat a little faster in the Cats fans' chest. And then Tom just gets that clearance and we all settle back down.
I mean, my favourite was, I think it might have been his very first effort, where he goes on, takes a hard left, runs to the back line and executes that spoil, somewhat running back. I thought, there he is. I mean, I like him playing full game time, but for whatever reason, his management and all that sort of stuff, I'm sure that's the reason he was a sub. But what a great sub to have!
Oh yeah, and for that moment where the game was, midfield strong and we'd lost Paddy. It was Paddy who came off rather than a tall or anything like that. Just to put him into the game was fantastic. By the time this is released, who knows? The Bendigo Banks Meet the Moment may have already been decided, but. Listen, I don't want to influence anyone too much, but just push hard for Tom Atkins, all right, for me? I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but I'm going to do it today because I just thought in that moment when he was needed, plus when I was starting to feel physically ill that Carlton were going to come over the top, Tom just settled things down. Yeah,
you're right. It's those moments of composure in the last 5 minutes that are, I think, calm all Cats fans' worries. You think, at the end of the day, you've still got Stengel who's able to. I mean, it wasn't around the body. Whatever that kind of kick was that goes to Jeremy Cameron, who you think take your 30 and it's so exciting to be able to just bank it, just mark it down.
So good. Unfortunately, there was one injury from the game, so we've got some selection. There's a man named Tom Stewart who's probably likely to come back in, I'd say, for Saturday night. So I want to talk Geelong against Melbourne this Saturday night. Some possible selection things coming up. We'll look at the VFL, we'll look at the VFLW, and as I said a little bit later on, we'll get to your questions. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell. Meg and I were just discussing the wonderful win on Saturday night, but the one blemish of that magnificent Saturday, well, it was twilight, Saturday evening, was the Paddy Dangerfield hamstring. As you said, I think the club's put a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks, and given
check the notes.
Yeah, given the age and the fact a little bit of a history with soft tissues, and I must add the fortunate position probably with the win-loss record, it can be a really just build up, strong, calm rehab process to get Paddy back out there. Is it as simple as Tom Atkins started as sub? He'll then come in for Paddy and we're looking for a new sub, or is that too simplistic just for that in and out?
I feel like I've given up trying to anticipate what we're going to do. I mean, the versatility is enormous. I think hopefully Tom's Atkins has had the management or the game time that he's required over the past little while, and he can do that. Is it a bit of Cam Guthrie more midfield time than he had on the weekend? We hope Stewie will be back in, but I think there are some fantastic performances at VFL level as well. So I don't have an answer other than, as we always say, you're not going to be able to replace like with like. And if you look at the way Danger was going about it on the weekend, you just think,
he's
just
possessed.
a monster, an absolute monster.
What did he had for lunch that day? He was on a mission.
And I imagine, this is purely speculative, I don't know, but if you're in that sort of form and you're attacking it with that kind of power, for your body to fail you just at that moment where you're thinking, I'm on, it would be a tough pill to swallow. But he's a pro, he's been doing it for so long, and I'm sure he'll take it in his stride.
As we are recording this, the team's all out on the track training on a beautiful sunny day here. Tom Stewart is out there taking part in the session, so he'll obviously have to clear all the concussion protocols, but we hope that he'll be back into the team. And you're right, great point you bring up. Maybe if Stewie comes back into the team and he's back, Cam Guthrie perhaps pushes up into the midfield.
Did you have any other ideas?
No, I think it's as simple as Atkins coming in or Guthrie more midfield. The one question I'll pose to you, and this is just us speculating and spitballing a little bit, is Melbourne, obviously a very good team, sitting 5-2 right now, strong midfield, really strong defensively. But post that is a 6-day break to a Friday night game against Port Adelaide here at GMHBA Stadium, and then into another 6-day on a Thursday night, the Gold Coast Suns in Darwin. So you almost need to include this game in the planning of the next, the following two games to say, okay, so how do we manage some of our slightly older players, maybe some of our even younger players are starting to tip where fatigue and cumulative fatigue is built in or is built up. Therefore, back-to-back 6 days, do we take the break now and then play them the Port Adelaide Suns game, or do they play Saturday night and then miss Port Adelaide, play Suns? That sort of thing starts coming into the equation. We'll get to the VFL in a second. But do you see any of that potentially playing out for Saturday night where one or two players are brought out for management?
My guess is that perhaps you do it on an away trip, but as you say, that's another 2 weeks away and another 2 games against, every game's hard, but against a really physical, what we can assume is going to be a contested opposition and game. Possibly, I don't know. Jai Clark's been great, so he's there. He didn't have a game, AFL game on the weekend. Possibly he comes back in. I think as you're scribbling some names down, we have already rested some players, so you can assume that, okay, if you've got a Zach Tui who you're thinking he's one who might get rested on occasion, he's come back in fresh and kicked 3 goals, so he's probably fine.
Superb.
I don't know who does it apply to.
Is it Toby? So quickly on the VFL, they absolutely destroyed Carlton at Icon Park Saturday afternoon. 101-point victory, which is very, very nice. Yeah. Strong performances. Gary Rowan was excellent. Mitch Hardy was very, very good and has been terrific all season. Ted Closey was fantastic. Toby Conway.
Yeah,
that's where I want to start.
3 goals, didn't he?
Was very, very good, and we've seen him at AFL level be able to step up to the level. Is it one where it feels hard because it's 1 week in, 1 week out? Yeah. Is it, and it's Max Gawn this week, but do you want to play him against Max Gawn because that's one of the, I think physically and that he could stand up against Max, but also for his long-term experience, learn from what a Max Gawn does. Is that something we're likely to see, or is it more a block of games now for Reece, block of games for Toby in the VFL, build your form there, and then you'll have a block of games post-bye or whatever it might be? I'll let you guess.
My guess, I think Toby gets to go against Max.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my feel too, by the way.
I've got absolutely no idea, but that's my guess. No. And, Gary Rowan, I presume, is coming in at some point if he's continuing to play not continuing to, he's building and seems to have
4 goals.
grasped his level again. 4 goals, great, speed on the lead. He's oh gosh, I've lost all my words today. Clunking. There you go. He's clunking. He's clunking his marks. And let me tell you, he's up and about.
Maybe he's a perfect sub.
Maybe he's a perfect sub.
To be able to put Melbourne generally play it's games that they play in a little bit lower scoring than and some other. Maybe both teams don't score 100 points like happened in the Geelong Carlton game. But you, in a game that's pretty tight, arm wrestling against Melbourne, Gary Rowan gets put into the game 8 minutes into the third quarter. Whew, that's a nice little
really
burst of
nice.
speed.
And he can, in theory, he can go anywhere. Does May go to Hawkins again and have a sort of a similar? I mean, people are saying, okay, well, Tom's hasn't kicked goals in a couple of weeks, and that's. Yeah, I feel you got to look at the bigger picture and say, but he's taking care of the key defender.
Can I say, and I'm very strong in this, and Saturday, the game against Carlton was such a strong affirmation for me about what I thought anyway. Mm-hmm. We sat about 5 or 6 rows back behind the goals, directly behind the goals, right next to the Geelong cheer squad. G'day to all the cheer squad crew. Fantastic with my kids. I'm talking so close to Charlie Curnow, you could almost touch him, and Tom Hawkins, varying depending on the ends. Tom Hawkins' work that he put into Jacob Wiedering was still elite. He doesn't have any goals in his goal category column, but he was putting in so much time, the body work, the positioning, the leads, the blocks, the taps, the little things like that. And Jacob Wiedering, who is an elite, outstanding defender, one-on-one, but then also really good interceptor, he did not leave Tom Hawkins. There's a reason why Ollie Henry kicks goals and Jez kicks goals and Grimes doing it, and all that forward line is functioning beautifully because of all the work they're putting in as well. But Jacob Wiedering is not flying over the top, influencing that one, picking that one off, positioning himself there because Tom Hawkins demanded his attention, but also put himself into a position with so much work that it allowed a forward line to be, use the word, just incredibly efficient.
Yeah, I mean, as a key defender, I think you want to have an influence that is greater than just cancelling out someone else on the opposition team. So, particularly if you're of this style of Jacob Wiedering. So, if you put to me, okay, you can just shake hands with your key forward and we'll pretend that we're not even out there today because we're just so focused on each other. But the rest of the other forward line, I can't help my mates in the forward line kicks over 100 points quite quickly.
18 goals, 10.
I'm not taking that. As a key defender, as a key forward, you're going, happy days. We've won the game. You know, my mates have kicked 5. So I think if it's serving that purpose and we're crossing each other out, that's a win to the forward line.
And go back to your original question. So this week, if the Hawkins versus May matchup went like the Hawkins v Wiedering matchup, I'll take that for the Cats because of everything going on. Now, unfortunately, people will say, oh, Tom, didn't kick any more goal. Tom must be out of form. Like, rubbish. There is surely we've got beyond that. There is so much more than what simply is in the goals column that forwards do. Good forwards, great forwards do. So if Tom, let's pretend he didn't play, management or whatever, Stephen May then starts making different decisions. So he thinks, okay, I can position here on Shannon Neal. If Shannon Neal came into the team and I'll do this. Now, that's the challenge for Shannon to make sure that May locks back onto him. He draws the ball in the right spots and Shannon Neal hopefully kicks 3 or 4 on him and we're happy days. But Stephen May's mindset changes because Tom Hawkins just is this huge threat of if I go and help Jake Lever on Jeremy Cameron over there, or I come off and help because Ollie Henry's looking threatening there, Hawk gets in the right spot, bang, it's in Hawk's hands, and he doesn't miss, and there's another goal.
Even if Shannon and Tom's output is exactly the same, May is leaving Shannon more than he would Hawk. Even if the outcome's the same, he's just, as you say, he's just more prepared to go. So, no, I think he definitely plays this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're even discussing that, of course. Yeah.
No. So it would be purely, that would be the discussion around management of bodies and things like that. So we'll wait and see on that one. Just quickly, the VFLW, just to round the whole weekend off, had a magnificent win, defeated North Melbourne by 24 points at Arden Street Oval, which is a good oval to play on.
Yeah.
Third win of the season.
Third win of the season, we had Chantel Mason, one of our AFLW new recruits, hasn't played AFLW yet. This will be her first preseason. She hit 3 goals, and every one of the W-listed players that played in the VFLW kicked a schnack. So
nice.
Great job by all the gals in the team. But shout out to my teammates.
Very nice. The next game's against Carlton this Saturday, 12 p.m. at Icon Park. And I forgot to mention too, the VFL, they're playing on Sunday against Frankston here at GMHBA Stadium. If you want a little bit more of a footy fix,
all day, every day.
Yep, go along Saturday night. Watch the AFL at start Icon Park. Then go to the MCG.
Get a feed.
Then go on Sunday back to GMHBA Stadium. There's your 3 games of footy you're going to watch for the weekend. And if you are loving all the footy and you do want to get along and watch, don't forget you've been pushing this Flexi 6 membership, Meg.
Me and the membership team.
Yes, absolutely. Not
as
just
an arm
you.
of the membership team.
Yeah.
It's still a priority for the next coming couple of games, because as we keep saying, you can grab 6 tickets and use them as you please on any game in Victoria. It's an away game at the MCG, so you could go there. If you've got a couple left over, come down on Friday night to watch us play Port at GMHBA.
You can take 5 of your mates along. Like Meg takes 40 of her mates along when she goes to the footy. But
level up, everyone.
Beautiful. Jump onto that one. Check out the website for all the details. As with anything, jump on the Cats website. They've got all the information. Let's take another break, Meg. Get to some questions. Welcome back. It is good to have you with us on to the final bell. Let's get to some of your questions. We love them coming in. Please keep the interactions heading our way. Give us your thoughts, send questions in. As we try and do every single week, we'll get to as many as we possibly can. Meg, I'll roll straight into this one from Benny Boy Oz. How hard is it to wind down after a game?
Well, Benny, I am not one of those people who can't sleep, but I often don't try to go to sleep for an awful long time. So I will regularly you go to recovery, I'm in the spa, shooting the breeze with the gals, reviewing the game for at least an hour.
Are you one of those who sit around and talk and talk and talk?
Oh, yeah, I'm a go home. Mate, go home. Why? Yeah. I know we've heard about.
Post-match.
Yeah.
I love the exhausted fatigue of sitting there with the teammates for a bit and just like, what about when you did that?
Yeah, it's the best.
It was so good when that for a little bit. And then I've had enough of you. I'm like, we've been there 2 hours before the game.
Yeah.
We've warmed up together.
Yeah.
We've played together. We've sat in a team meeting post-match and done our recovery and iced maybe together, and we've talked a little bit. But Meg, I've then had enough of you.
Yeah, I hear you, because there have been times when I've had to play, say counsellor.
Yes.
How do you navigate that? Because you're like,
why are you
personally, I need to get home.
Why are you dumping on this on me straight after a game?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking in my head. But
we won
calmly. Yeah.
Don't worry about the fact that you didn't touch the ball.
Actually, that's a good question. That's a really good question. That's that moment where sometimes as a leader, and you're right, you do this so well, is take that breath and think, I just want to go home, or I just want to talk. You know what? In the spa and
in the
yep. And now I have to get into a much deeper, much more meaningful conversation, and I'm exhausted, and I'm sore, and I've got this giant corky with a giant ice bag wrapped around my quad, and you have to stop yourself, don't you? Because that conversation, while you don't necessarily want to be a part of it, is so important to the person who's asking for that conversation.
Yeah, and if that person's a fan of the pod, now you know.
Leave Meg alone. Straight after a game.
No, I don't have too many issues.
I've night games were always hard for me to wind down from. I'm still racing a little bit. You can't help but go back over little moments. I should have spoken better to that player. I should have handled. Shouldn't have fumbled there. Gee, if I'd looked in board there, something might have been on. I almost need to tell myself to stop those thoughts and just settle and relax. After a game like they played on the weekend, we didn't have heaps of twilight time slots when I played, but you're home at perhaps maybe back to Geelong by 9 o'clock. So it's not late yet, but you've just played in front of 88,000 in a cracking game of footy. Exhaustion's there, but you might still have adrenaline pumping.
Do you do what every other Cats fan does and puts it on the replay?
Well, when I was playing, never. I never watched.
Yeah, okay.
No, it was always the only thing I would watch of our game is then when we had to break down the specific moments of where we needed to be better or what we needed to reinforce with the group and things like that. I watch more footy now than I ever did when I was a player, as in whole games. No, good question, Benny Boy Oz. Thank you for that one. This one's from Tyler. What's the song called when Zach Toohey scores? And I think, is it Mark O'Connor as well? Is it any of the Irish boys? Yeah. What's it called?
It's called Rattling Bog. As everyone knows, one of our Irish gals, Rach, lives with me when she's in the country, and she's given me the ins and outs of it. I gather it's played at a lot of weddings.
Who's it by? Is it a Pogue song or is it a...
No, it's not. It's like a... it's not a Pogue. And I think you'll get many a version on... on Spotify. But the structure of the song, do you know... Have we discussed this on air?
No.
The structure of the song is one where chorus happens and then one line is added and then you do the chorus again and then another line, but you have to repeat.
Yep, okay.
And it just gets longer and longer and longer in between.
Gotcha.
And it's about whether you can recite it
remember.
at pace.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think Mark O'Connor can, but I don't think he likes people to...
It's nice, just as a crowd, when you've just been cheering for a goal and then it comes on and you've got that, you can just clap along with it. You get right into it. I love it.
Put a request in with the powers that be to have the lyrics on the LEDs, so we'll see if that happens.
Nice. Always thinking. Thanks for that one, Tyler. Lara Bear, what goes through your head when kicking for goal?
Okay, through my head. I've usually got a 50-metre penalty. So I'm like, I've got a little bit of time to think about it.
No, let's picture it as you've snuck down, you've read the play beautifully, it's lobbed up just on someone's head, you've flown through the air and taken a great grab, and you're going back to slot it.
Going through my head is, you talk a big game about this. Every training session, when you're having shots at goal, you're saying, get a look at me, I should play in the forward line. You better kick this.
So you've talked the talk, you need to walk it. Yeah.
Now, is that what a sports psych would recommend? Is that what a goal kicking routine is meant for? No, yes, but that's I'm being honest on the pod.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was always talk about routine.
Yeah.
I'd give myself enough room, and then all I was thinking was 4 steps walking.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. Do you then count them? 1, 2, 3,
straight line, 4 steps walking, and I would count the 4 steps walking. So the 4 steps walking is just simply to get started. Yeah. Then I would break into a little bit of momentum jog type thing. My straight line technique I always trusted and had total belief in, but it was always 4-step walking. Yeah. That was the way I started, and then my momentum builds from there. So I would try and just simplify everything.
Yeah. To give you a better answer, Nigel Laffin said something that I try to remember and I think is good. He thinks, think about how it felt the last time you flushed one. And I think to myself, just make good contact. I try and focus on that feeling of good contact, and then the bits and pieces that will get me there happen naturally.
Nice. Very good. Thank you for that one, Lara. This one's from Seb. Best memories of games against Melbourne for both AFL and AFLW. Obviously, Melbourne in the AFLW have been historically very, very strong.
They have.
As a club.
Probably our best win, and the second last game we played was what kind of final? A semi-final. Semi-final against Melbourne at Icon Park, and we got it done. We were really dominant in the first half, and a bit like the game on the weekend, they came home very strong, but I think it signified so much for us because we'd never beaten that team. We hadn't necessarily beaten a lot of top 4 teams, and And we just knew that was a sort of a really big milestone in our development, was to have a win like that, and it got us into a prelim. So that's certainly the best one for me.
Yeah, great win. Fantastic win. Seb, I can't help it. Sorry. And there'll be no Melbourne fans listening to this podcast, so I don't even need to apologise. But obviously we played against Melbourne in 2011 and we won by 186 points. It was just kind of ridiculous. The unfortunate timing and build up to that one was we'd been patchy for a few weeks and we'd gone, right, we cannot just switch this on a week before finals. It was about 4 weeks before finals. We said, let's build our form now. And we'd had a good training week, but even mentally we were like, all right, let's lock on. Now, I didn't think it was going to just go.
So you did just switch it on.
Switch it on, yeah. But at the same time, Melbourne were at a really low point in their history, unfortunately. And we were super sharp, and we were kind of a little bit ruthless and hungry as well. And they were down. And my goodness, some of our great players just put on a clinic. I remember running around. I was still playing because we were building up to, okay, this is the role we're going to play come finals. Actually played a run with role, and I think it was poor Brent Maloney. So I was locked onto him. Yeah. He got subbed off at halftime, hadn't touched the footy. Yeah. Had zero. It wasn't because I stopped him. It's because every one of my teammates had the ball. And he had no chance to ever touch the ball. I think Stevie might have kicked 7. I think Joel Selwood had 40 and kicked 4 or something ridiculous like that. It was just like halfway through the last quarter, I'm like, all right, cool. I've got my pie and chips. I'm actually running around in the oval, but I'm just a fan here. I'm just a spectator watching one of the great shows. So that was a fun day, Seb. Thank you for that one.
Probably, as a spectator, Zach Tui goal after the siren.
Oh, yes, of course. Yep. That was brilliant. Another Seb, different Seb, this one. This is Seb 26545. Why was Tom Stewart wearing the number 39 on Saturday? Took you a second to get this one.
It took me a second. Sorry, Seb. I love this kind of shenanigans.
Little cryptic question.
It took me a second. Because we play a great system and all players are empowered and all players know the system, and it's 6v5, not a spare, and all those things.
And Zach Guthrie is living proof of
some hard work,
development, hard work, not just going, that kid doesn't look quite up to it right now. Okay, ship him off. Let's get the next one in. Yep. Yeah, sometimes they're not all Sam Walsh or Joel Selwood or Nick Dacos.
And again, because of Jake Kolajasny, because of his brother, because of Jack Henry. Yeah.
No, well put. I'm glad you finally got this one now.
Got it.
Got it. Thank you for that one, Seb. Ryder, can you draft me? Ryder Chadwick.
It's not a no, Ryder.
It's not a no.
It's not a no.
I mean, if you're 50
to the pod,
if you're 52 and maybe your best form's behind you, then maybe it's a no. But Ryder, if you're a young person, why not? Why not? Have no idea.
You are Chief of Development in the Geelong region. Do you know Ryder?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Unless I do, and I apologise if I do. No. Can I? This is a little bit self-indulgent, but can I just say how wonderful it is to watch really good junior football games? So I coach under 12s, my son, my oldest boy this year, and they played against. So it was St Mary's, Torquay. It was a beautiful Saturday morning, mind you, and the game started at 11:30 a.m. Thank you so much for that time slot. That was just sensational. Sun was shining, and both teams just played with a skill and ball movement. There was no horrible rough stuff. There was no off the ball stuff. There was no sling dumping tackles. There was the physicality that comes with a game of football, but in really the right way. And gee, some of the impressive talent on display from the Torquay boys, from the team that Max plays with. It was just a joy to watch good kids play with smiles on their faces and really good quality footy. It was great to be a part of it.
You seemed, obviously, well said, beautifully said, and it's not ultimately about this, but you did seem to think that your boys had been strife. The Torquay. How did that go?
Yes. No, we managed to get over the line. It was a really good win. Yeah, and it was And that's not the reason I brought it up. Just before any talky people jump on, that's not the reason I brought it up. I was talking to the coach after the game about and he agreed how good a quality game of footy it was. And yeah, it was just really nice to be part of. The boys did very, very well. And yeah, I love, this is something I've always been passionate about. So I'll move this to AFL level. I've always loved development of young players. That's where my passion lies. Bomber Thompson taught me and us and Joel Corey and Corey Enright and these guys that he was going to develop us into hopefully great players, great people and great leaders. And that's something I've always really held on to, that, okay, with time, with resources, with knowledge, with all this different, you can just keep adding to these players. So I love that. So apart from the 7-0 start, that's probably why I'm most excited about this season, is seeing Tanner Bruin's growth, Max Holmes' next step, seeing a Toby Conway come in, seeing a Jai Clark and getting pumped about him, Jack Bowes, Ollie Dempsey up forward, the Zach Guthrie conversation we were just having, him growing again, even on the back of last year. That sort of growth and development of younger players is what I love most. Grind, yes. What pick?
Development.
52 or 55 in the draft. And you don't admit this sort of thing, but I reckon 12 months in, some of the coaches, people might have been thinking, oh, the kicking style, he's small, maybe is he? Oh, I don't know. You have these doubts. I admittedly had them as an immature moron after my first season being drafted with Corey Enright. Corey Enright didn't play a game in his first year, and he was this skinny kid from Kimberstill and had kind of a funny kicking style at the time. And someone was like, oh, Corey Enright, what? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not sure about him. I don't know. Great guy, ripping bloke, but I
hope you include this in your Hall of Fame.
Yeah. As you're a buffhead 19-year-old thinking you know better than Bomber Thompson and people like that. It's like, not sure about Corey Enright.
High ball drops, mate. They trick you.
Yeah, and that development and that time. So, yeah, it's cool to be a part of. I could keep going on and on about that, but I better not. We better finish up. Let's move our eyes towards Saturday night in particular. As I said, there's other footy around, VFLW, VFL as well, but Saturday night, the Cats taking on the Demons at the MCG, 7:30, 7:25. Maybe double check that.
In the evening.
Should be another amazing game of footy, Meg. Let's hope we get the same result.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. We'll be back next week.